Cher Obediah has found her voice by putting pen to paper and writing a book that reflects on a painful part of her life. Shine to Shame, The Wreckage and Rise from Domestic Violence is a book that provides the reader with a personal journey.
You're a speaker, you're a storyteller, you're a filmmaker, you're an author, you're all these things. So those words and those descriptions, what does that mean to you?
For me, it's recognizing that I've stepped into my own authenticity, that I'm now multidisciplinary creative is what I like to say, because I spend so much time doing the 9 to 5, fitting within that mold, and then doing what I thought I had to do. But now I have to wake up happy, or I know that I need to make a shift in my life. So everything that I'm doing is spirit guided. Everything that I'm doing is being guided by that inner intuition, doing things that I want to do. And I know and recognize that I have a very short time here on my earth walk, and that I want to be in full control of that. So I call myself an accidental author because I didn't mean to write this. I don't think anyone sets out to become a statistic. I spent so much time understanding the indigenous condition, like what happened, how did I get disconnected. So really on a deep level, I understood all of that. Working in a former residential school, I understood it. So when I met my partner, whose parents were former survivors of residential school, and he would talk about his childhood and he would talk about the disconnect. And so I knew that I was in a little bit more of a difficult situation in this relationship because he carried so much childhood trauma, but he was just such a beautiful being, and getting spiritual and healing and getting connected. I really admired the path that he was on and the self-discovery, and I just really admired that. And so I wanted to be the one that would be there, that whenever things were going wrong, it's like, you know what, I got you. I get it. I understand. I'm not going to be the one that takes off or runs from you, because I fully understand it. So I like to say that I was forgiving to a fault. He has spent a lifetime with socially conditioned reasoning, so he would say things and it's like, oh, that makes sense. I get that. Anyone would understand that. So yeah, and also using my own values. So if it came to something like what couples compromise when it comes to this kinds of things. So I would sort of like not feel okay about compromising on something, but then my values were, couples do compromise. That's what good people do. That's how you grow together. You compromise. So he was using my values against me when it was something I didn't want to do, but something that fed his fear.
Right.
So he was allowed to keep it. And then also I'm making my own decisions to sway that way. So there was a lot of really heavy manipulation. So I think people don't understand that about when it comes to domestic violence. It's not logical, it's psychological. The markings on the mind are just, I didn't even have a word for it. I just did that. Just a word does not exist for how difficult it becomes on the mind. Like, our bodies are miracles. They know what they're doing. We have an autonomic system that just does its own thing. We have to tell our heart to beat, or our food to digest, and if we get bruises or we get cuts or scrapes, it knows what it's doing. It's healing itself. The psychological impacts, though, are something that I just really, so many mind knots that I had to do a lot of unlearning and questioning myself. And so that was really tough work. But that becomes the work for so many of us and all of our little traumas that we come through in life. It's like, what is mine? What is my mother's? What could I do differently? There's just so much that we can do to sort of come out of it. But I think people get stuck in the shame and the blame of all of it. So yeah, he would freak out about something, and then I was unable to say, what you did caused me to feel this way, because it wasn't reciprocal that way. He could speak that way and I could hold space. But when you're dealing with a wounded person and you try to explain something, then it becomes criticism. So what I did do at that time is I wrote poetry. I went out and I wrote on my phone. I just went and walked the dog, and I would go to this trail on the river, and it was so restorative. The water was so giving, and nature is always so giving. And so I would just walk and write and just get it out, whatever needed to come out. And then by the time I got to the end of the trail, I just emailed it to myself and never really bothered with it again. And then I put it in a little file folder called writing. And they just accumulated. But it was like a survival mechanism for me, and it worked. And so we did not manage to survive that. We ended up separating. It was not sustainable. It just isn't. So I noticed at the time when we did separate that I just what a spectacular life derailment. I'm like, I've gone from being like working as an actor or working as a reporter, starting my own production company. And then here I am with no job, no money, self-loathing, depressed. I mean, how I didn't understand that this could happen to people. I felt crazy. It's something I hear a lot in the healing communities. I feel crazy because I want to go back. I love that person. I loved who we were. And that's all factual.
To learn more about Cher's journey or to purchase her book, visit her website at cherobediah.com. Her book is also available on Amazon and goodminds.com. Carla Fitzsimmons, Your Region This Week, Kitchener.